Okay, so nag-post ako ng pagpapasahin dun sa classroom niyo. No? So doon nyo na lang i-attach yung sagot na dito.
Ano yan? August 13.
So patry lang muna ako nito bago tayo mag-start ng panibagong topic.
A 200-pound weight is attached to one end of a vertical. What must the scale? A 200-pound weight is attached to one end of a vertical. What must the scale of the spring be so that the period of vibration will be 1 second?
Okay guys, so start na tayo. So dito ko na lang gawin yung solution para may send ko na lang din sa inyo right after. So for our short review, let's try to solve this one. So a 200-pound weight is attached to one end of a vertical. What must the scale of the spring be so that the period of the vibration will be at 1 second? So the first one would be, let's try to evaluate our givens. Given. So we have here our weight equals 200 pounds. And then we have here a given of period, which is 1 second. Wait, so we can use our formula for period is equals to 2 pi over omega n, or yung square root or the square root of k over m. So this one. So we have here our given 1 second for our period and 200 pounds for weight. So let's try to derive this formula so that we can solve for the value of k. So I'm just going to copy this one. So square root of m, and then substitute 2 pi over t. And then we're going to square both sides so that we can cancel the radical sign. And then, so we're just going to cancel for the radical sign and then square. And then we can solve for the value of k over m as this is equivalent to 2 pi over t, or yung given natin na 1 second. So we can substitute also the value of weight, or we can just let's try to simplify this first by evaluating or isolating the value of k, or yung k natin is ililipat lang natin yung m dun sa kabila. So magka-cross multiply lang tayo. So k equals m. Oh, since weight is our given is weight, so we have here weight over g, so that we can evaluate the mass. So para makuha natin yung mass, so we're just going to divide yung ating weight dun sa kanyang acceleration due to gravity. So this one is 2 pi over 1, or squared. So the next one is, let's try to substitute yung value ng ating weight is 200 pounds. And then value of g is 32.2 feet per second square. And then we can get the value of k as so what's the value of our k? 200 over 32.2 times 2 pi squared. So the value of our k is 245.21 pounds per feet. So this is our final answer. So nagets pa? So ganyan lang. So summary, let's try to have a summary. And then, so for this problem, so sinolve nga natin is 200 pound weight is attached to one end of a vertical. So naka-attach mo siya, and what was the scale of the spring so that the period of the vibration will be 1 second. So we have here our given weight is 200 pounds and period is 1 second. So we use a formula, period is equivalent to 2 pi over square root of k over m. And then we try to derive the formula so that we can get the value of k. Then we're just transpose the mass. Then since our given is weight, and we just divide it into value of gravitational constant. So okay naman tayo kay spring mass model, and okay tayo dun. So we can proceed to the next topic. So any questions regarding this topic, spring mass model?
Sir, okay lang po kahit ang final answer po i-convert sa pound per inch.
Okay lang din naman as long as parehas lang din sila.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
So dito na lang ako sa Word magagawa ng solution. No? So hindi na sa Jamboard. At least para may attach ko din yung file dun sa ating Google Classroom solution. So any questions regarding our topic na spring mass model? So we can proceed din sa ating simple pendulum. Any questions? Wala na? Okay. So let me present to you yung ating next topic. I think to clarify this, itong topic nating simple pendulum, let's try to have a short review next week sa ating face-to-face class. Okay, so let me share to you our next topic. So, simple pendulum. Okay, kung mapapansin nyo, okay. So for our simple pendulum, okay, so a simple pendulum, it is defined as a particle at the end of a weightless cord. So that is, it is allowed to vibrate in a vertical arc of a circle under the influence of gravity and the tension in the end. So this motion is approximated by the suspending a small weight at the end of a thread. Okay. So as shown in the figure, so at equilibrium, we can only evaluate yung tension and weight. So for the summation vertical of our forces is tension is also equivalent to our weight. And then when it comes to vibration, so let's try to, kapag hinila mo na siya dun sa, let's say when you pull this object, so, okay, so ulitin ko lang. So for our simple pendulum, ang mangyayari dyan is, let's say, we're just going to pull this object, yung naka-attach doon sa ating string rather. So it's rather string or rope. So let's just say na it is a kind of rope. So naka-attach si rope dun sa ating pin. So nakapin yung rope and then may naka-attach na object with a given mass. Then let's say we try to apply force so that, and then pag binitawan natin yan, ang mangyayari is mag-move siya back and forth. Ano? And then, so since dun sa ating spring mass model, yung ating amplitude is nag-a-apply dun sa maximum displacement. So this time, we're evaluating the theta or the maximum angle na namumove when you try to pull yung ating simple pendulum. So we have your S is equals to R theta. No? And then for SVA, so ito yung ating mga rectilinear motion, and then for the right side, or yung R theta, R omega, and R alpha is yung ating rectilinear motion. So ulitin ko lang, so SVA is for rectilinear, rectilinear, and yung ating R theta and R omega and R alpha is for the curvilinear motion. So mapapansin nyo, so nag-move back and forth yan into a curvilinear path. So as you can see, the formula for our displacement is also equivalent yung formula natin for when we are trying to solve the arc length. So it has the same formula, R theta, wherein theta is in radians. So to summarize this one, so we can only get the formula of our omega n is equal to or equivalent to square root of G over L. So it is also the same with our formulas dun sa ating spring mass model. Okay. And then it also applies yung same formula. So naiba lang dyan is yung formula natin ng omega n. So para dun sa ating spring mass model, we have our formula of square root of K over M. And then for this simple pendulum, we have omega n is equivalent to square root of G over L, wherein yung G is the acceleration due to gravity. So you can easily understand this one dun sa ating sample problem. Okay, let's try to solve. Okay, so let me share to you our next problem. Okay. So a simple pendulum consisting of a bob attached to a cord oscillates in a vertical plane with a period of 1.3 seconds. So assuming a simple harmonic motion and knowing that the maximum velocity of the bob is 15 inches per second, so determine the amplitude of the motion in degrees and the maximum tangential acceleration of the bob. Okay, so when we say bob, sa Tagalog ito yung hulog. So yung ginagamit natin sa construction para sigurado nating pantay yung ating dito. So let's say papatas ka ng hollow blocks. So it is to make sure na pantay yung pagkakapatas niya. Okay, so let's first identify the given. So our given here is we have here period is or time is equivalent to 1.3 seconds. And then the maximum velocity of here our V max. Is equivalent to 15 inches per seconds. So we need to identify the amplitude in degrees or yung ating theta. And then the maximum tangential acceleration. So let's solve first for the omega n. So we have here our formula. So T is equivalent to 2 pi over yung ating omega n. So yan na lang. And then we can solve the value of omega n. So lipat lang natin to dito. This one is T. Okay, so now we can solve for the value of omega n. omega n is also equivalent to y over t. Our ating period is 1.3 seconds. So it is all equal to 4.833 Hn per seconds. So now that we solved yung ating omega n, so mahanap na natin yung amplitude. Since mayroon tayong given dito na maximum velocity. So ano bang formula ng ating maximum velocity? So the formula, our maximum velocity is equivalent to amplitude multiplied by omega. And then, so given si maximum velocity, given si omega n, so now we can solve yung ating amplitude. So amplitude is just equal to Vmax over yung ating omega. So our maximum velocity is 15 inch per seconds. And then the value of our omega n is 4.8332. Per second. So now we can solve for the value of amplitude, which is equivalent to 3.1035. So 3.1035. So this is inch. The problem is, ang hinahanap natin, ang value ng ating amplitude is naka degrees. Ano? Pero ang nakakuha natin is naka-inch. So now, we're going to solve yung length ng ating pendulum so that makukuha natin yung kanyang value. So makukuha natin yung value ni amplitude in terms of degrees. So now, let's try to solve first yung ating length. So length ng ating pendulum. So in relation dun sa length, so meron tayong given dito na omega n. So omega n is equal to, so ano nga pagka-pendulum, so siya ay square root of square root of G over L. And then, to derive this one, we have our value of our omega n and then a value of G. So let's try to derive. We're just going to square both sides so that makakancel si radical sign and then ma-isolate natin si L. So we're just going to square this one and then square the value of square root of G over L. So mangyayari lang dyan, makakancel lang yung square mo tsaka yung radical sign dun kay G over L. So we have here G over L is equivalent to omega squared. So yan ay naging formula natin. And then, so since ang kailangan natin is yung value ng L, so mag-cross multiply lang tayo. So yung omega squared is mapupunta dito sa baba. And then yung L natin is malilipat lang dito. So now we can solve for the value of length. No? So that is also equal to ano yung ating G? So meron tayong 32.2 over 4.8332. Okay, so ang unit nito is 32.2 feet per second square. So since nakapit yan, kailangan natin is multiply yan kay or convert yung feet into inch. Since yung ating amplitude dito is naka-inch din. Now let's try to convert this one. So 12 inch is equivalent to 1 feet. No, 1 foot. So cancel si feet. Then unit naman ito is radian per seconds. So masosolve natin yung ating length. 32.2 times 12 over yung ating omega n. Okay, so ito nga pala ay naka-square. So naka-square ito, no? So we have here our length is equivalent to wait, let me check. This is 4 point. Wait lang. Check ko lang. Ayan. So this is 4.8332. So yung ating value ng L is 16.54 inches. So ayan. So since meron na tayong given na length, so balik tayo dun sa ating formula. Na S is equivalent to R theta. So ayan. So ito yung formula natin kanina. So since meron na tayong value ng S, or ito yung amplitude natin, so yung S natin or yung displacement natin is also equivalent dun sa ating amplitude. And then yung R naman is equivalent kay length ng ating pendulum. So we can evaluate this one as S is equivalent to 3.1035. So let's try to do diretso ko na ito. I-derive ko na yung ating formula. So theta will be equal to S over R. Or it is also equal to amplitude over yung ating length. So yung value ng ating amplitude, so the value of our amplitude is 3.1035. 1035. So this is inch over 16 point. This is 16.5412. And 5412 inch. And then, so ang hinahanap natin dyan ay so ang sabi is determine the amplitude of the motion in degrees. So kailangan degree yung ating final answer. Pero, so ang mapapalabas natin dito is naka-radian. So we're just going to convert. Diretso ko na dito. So 180 degrees is equivalent to pi. Sabi natin pi. So yan. So diniretso ko na siya. And then our answer will be 10.75. So 10.75 degrees. So yan. So ulitin ko lang So the first one, so we try to evaluate yung ating given and then yung ating unknown. So meron tayong unknown dito na theta and or yung amplitude niya in degrees and then yung ating maximum acceleration. So we try to solve first the amplitude in motion. Okay. Amplitude of the motion, so we try to solve first yung ating omega n, which is 2 pi over given period, which is 4.8332 rad per seconds, and then we have here our maximum velocity is equivalent to amplitude multiplied by omega n. Then we try to derive this one para makuha yung value ng ating amplitude. So the value of our amplitude is 15 inch per second over 4.8332 radian per second. So we have here our value of amplitude is equivalent to 3.1035 inch. So now, we try to solve naman the omega n, the length of our pendulum. Since we have here our given omega n and yung value ng ating g or yung acceleration due to gravity. So nakuha natin yung value ng L as 16.5412 inch and then we try to solve naman yung value ng ating theta. So by the formula of S is equal to R theta. So solve natin yung amplitude niya is 10.75 degrees. So sa inyong final answer para sa inyong exam, so okay na yung 2 decimal places. So sa process, gawin nyo siyang 4 decimal. And then, so solve naman natin si tangential acceleration or the maximum tangential acceleration. So we have here. So our formula for the maximum tangential acceleration is also the same as yung ating since siya ay tangential, so same lang din yung formula natin. So amplitude multiplied by omega n squared. So ayan. So for the value of our amplitude, we have 3.1035 inch, 3.1035 inch. And for the value of our omega n, we have 4.8332 radian per seconds, 4.8332 radian per seconds. So now we can solve for the value of maximum acceleration or the maximum tangential acceleration. So 3.1035 multiplied by 4.832 squared is 72.49 50 50 inch per second square. So ito na yung ating maximum tangential acceleration. So any questions para dito sa ating problem?
Wala naman po.
Okay. So anyone? Wala ba? May tanong ba? So ito ay i-review ko ulit pagdating ng ating next week sa ating face-to-face class. Para naman mas maintindihan niya rin. So iba kasi yung approach pag online. So short review lang naman siya. So hindi siya masyadong makain ng oras. Para at least may papaliwanag natin ang ayos yung problem. So nagbago lang naman dito sa ating simple pendulum is kumbaga kay spring mass model, meron tayong rectilinear motion. Ano nangyayari? Wherein yung ating given value ng or formula ng ating omega n is equivalent to square root of k over n. And pagdating naman dito kay simple pendulum is square root of g over L. Then given lang sa atin is yung length ng pendulum. So neglect muna natin yung mass. Okay, so let's try to solve another problem. Okay, so pagdating naman sa board, ma-encounter niyo naman problem is pagdating kay simple pendulum sa vibration, given lang yung kanyang length or period, so solve nyo naman yung either of the two. So isosolve nyo sa frequency, sa period, or pwedeng hanapin nyo naman is yung length. So ganun lang. So let's try. So ganitong klase lang yung lumalabas ng tanong sa board exam when it comes to vibration. Kaya you don't have to worry na mahihirapan kayo sa mga lalabas na vibration sa board exam. So kung meron man mahirap, konti lang. So hindi naman yan lahat mahirap. So mostly yung mga tanong sa board is kaya-kaya sagutan. So pero depende pa rin. Pag nag-aaral, pag hindi ka nag-aaral, so walang practice, hindi mo pa rin kaya sagutan yan. So determine the length of a simple pendulum whose period is 1 second. Then for our next problem, find the period of oscillation Find a pinwheel of a simple pendulum. Simple pendulum whose length is 50 inches. Okay, so patry muna ako nito. Then we are going to solve this one later.
Mm, May klase pa ako hanggang 7:30.
Ay, sorry, nakamute pala ako, no? Okay, sige, ulitin ko na lang. Okay. So, for our problem number 3, so determine the length of a simple pendulum whose period is 1 second. So, we have here our given period is equivalent to 1 second. And then, uh, using our formula, so T is equals to 2 pi over omega n. And then, we have here omega n is square root of G over L for simple pendulum. So now we try to substitute yung ating formula ng omega n to formula ng ating period. And then we have for T is equivalent to 2 pi over square root of G over L. And then ang ginawa lang natin is nag-cross multiply tayo so that yung T is mapupunta sa ilalim ng 2 pi. And then we can equate 2 pi over T dun kay square root of G over L. Then to cancel the radical sign, we need to square both sides. So we have here G over L is equivalent to 2 pi over T quantity squared. And then let's try to cross multiply. So now we have here our value of length is equivalent to G over 2 pi over T quantity squared. So now substitute the value. So 32.2 over 2 pi over 1 seconds quantity squared is equivalent to 0.82 feet. So nakuha ba yung ating problem number 3?
Yes po.
Okay. So sorry, nakamit pala ako kanina. No? So let's try to solve the problem number 4 naman. So hinahanap is find the period of a simple pendulum whose length is 50 inch. So we have here our given. So length is equivalent to 50 inch, 50 inches. So now we're just going to solve for the value of omega n. Since we have here our given, length. So kaya pwede na nating isolve si omega n. So for the formula of omega n, we have here square root of G over L. So substitute the values. So we have G is 32.2 feet per second square. Then the value of length is 50 inch. And then let's try to convert yung ating feet to inches. So that we can cancel yung linear units natin. So we're just going to multiply 32.2 by 12 inches over 1 foot. So makakancel si feet. So cancel si inch. So now we have our value of omega n is equivalent to 2.7 780. Wait. 7799. Yeah. Region per seconds. So since we have here our value of omega n, we're just going to solve for period. So pwede na natin isolve si period. So for the formula ng period, So, meron tayong T is equivalent to 2 pi over omega n. Then substituting the values, we have here 2 pi over 2.7799 radian per seconds. So the value of our period is 2.26 seconds. So yan ano, ang dali lang. Kaya nyo yan. So for our problem number 4, so find the period of a simple pendulum whose length is 50 inch. So we have here our given length is 50 inch. Then we try to solve first yung ating omega n, which is square root of G over L. So omega n is equivalent to square root of 32.2 feet per second square. Since siya ay naka-feet, so to cancel yung ating units, so convert lang natin to into inch. All over 50. So nakakakuha tayo ng value ng omega n is equivalent to 2.7799 radian per seconds. So now, we're just going to substitute this value of omega n dun sa ating formula ng period. And period is equivalent to 2.7799 radian per seconds. Or 2 pi over 2.7799 radian per second. So that makukuha natin yung period as 2.26 seconds. So any questions? May tanong ba? So pwede kayong mag-raise ng hand. So next meeting, we're going to start yung vibration of rigid bodies naman. So matatapos tayo kay free vibration next meeting. Doon sa ating undamped free vibration. So tapos na siya next meeting. So any question sa ating last problem? Okay, so malinaw naman sa lahat. Walang tanong? Walang tanong? Any questions, everyone? So wala? Okay, so mag-screenshot lang ako. So yun yung gagawin ko attendance for today. At saka yung activity nyo. So yung activity nyo pinapasa, that will also set yung attendance natin for today's class. Yes, ano yan?
Sir, yung number 1 nga lang po yung ipapasa or pati po yung sinolve po na hanggang 4?
Lahat to, i-send ko ito. Yung sa ano, yung sa activity.
Apo.
Yung ano lang, yung 1 lang.
Okay po, thank
Pinasolve.
you po.
So yun na may short recap lang ng ating last topic.